Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone.
Authorities in Boston, Massachusetts say that a 33-year-old man is facing charges this week following a terrifying recent incident during which he allegedly viciously attacked a woman over a perceived social slight. According to reports, the situation began at around 9 a.m. on July 13th when police received a call from the 59-year-old victim. The woman said that she had been at her home in the city's Dorchester neighborhood when an unknown man had attacked her. When officers arrived at the scene, the victim explained that she had been watering her lawn when the unknown man walked by her. As he did, he reportedly swore at her for not saying good morning to him. Fearing that the situation was about to escalate, the woman pulled out her phone and began filming. That's when the man, who by this time had gotten into a black Mercedes, got back out, came up to her and attacked her. Surveillance footage from a nearby camera allegedly showed him punching her in the face and head at least 7 times. She fought back by biting the man on the shoulder, that was left bleeding profusely from her nose. After getting back into his car, the suspect reportedly reversed and then swerved towards the woman as though he was going to hit her before driving away. Though the victim suffered a fractured nose and a subconjunctival hemorrhage to her left eye as a result of the attack, the footage she managed to capture of the suspect and his license plate was more than enough for police to be able to find him. It also helped that he apparently was already wearing a GPS ankle monitor at the time in connection with another pending case. The man was identified as 33-year-old Ian Atkinson and was arrested on charges of assault and battery causing serious bodily injury and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Following the incident, the district attorney on the case, Kevin Hayden, spoke about his disbelief over what had happened, saying, quote, "It's difficult to comprehend the viciousness and randomness of such an attack, in this case on a stranger doing nothing more than watering her lawn, all over a perceived and perhaps non-existent slight."
Authorities in Volusia County, Florida were left both relieved and seriously irritated this week after what they initially thought was a terrifying armed kidnapping situation instead turned out to be an 11-year-old girl's idea of a funny joke. According to reports, it all started at around 9:45 a.m. on July 26th when dispatchers with the Volusia County Sheriff's Office began receiving disturbing texts that had been sent to 911. They were from an 11-year-old girl who said that her 14-year-old friend had been abducted by an unknown armed man in a white van who had proceeded to drive south on Interstate 95 in Oak Hill. Given the seemingly critical nature of the crime, a large police response was mobilized immediately, with officers from multiple different law enforcement agencies sent to help. Air support was even called in an effort to locate the suspect's vehicle faster. Over the next hour or so, dispatchers continued to receive updates from the 11-year-old by text, who provided descriptions of the alleged suspect and said that she was following in a blue Jeep. However, police were unable to find the suspect or the white van in question. They would soon learn that this was because they didn't exist. After tracing the phone that was sending the text messages, officers were able to pinpoint it to an address in the neighboring city of Port Orange. When they paid a visit to the residence, they were greeted by a confused man who turned out to be the father of the 11-year-old girl. He said that she was inside with the rest of the family. Sure enough, when officers went inside, they found the 11-year-old sitting in the living room holding her phone. Moments later, she received a call from 911 dispatchers. When questioned, the girl apparently admitted that she had made the whole thing up, saying that it was a prank inspired by a YouTube challenge she had seen. She said that she, quote, "thought it would be funny." Things presumably got less hilarious, though, when she was arrested and charged with making a false police report concerning the use of a firearm in a violent manner and misuse of 911. While police appeared to show some sympathy for the girl given her age, they were quick to note the seriousness with which they treat these kinds of matters, with a representative saying, quote, "This kind of prank activity is dangerous. We're going to investigate every incident, but today it wasted valuable resources that might have helped someone else who legitimately needed our help." They also reminded parents to make sure they are closely monitoring their children's social media accounts.
Authorities in Maricopa County, Arizona say that a local woman is facing new charges this week after she was rearrested in connection with the death of her 33-year-old cousin, which took place last year. According to reports, the case began just after noon on May 5, 2022, when dispatchers with the Peoria Police Department received a 911 call from a residence near 112th Avenue and West Diana Avenue. Officers arrived to find the body of 33-year-old Kevin McKenna, who had died from multiple blunt force trauma injuries. The woman who made the call, Kevin's 30-year-old cousin, Brianna Zerth, told police that she was the one who had killed him. However, she claimed that she had acted in self-defense. She said that they had been drinking together the night before and that he had tried to strangle her, so she fought back. When asked why she had waited so long to call police, Zerth reportedly said that the details of what had happened were blurry and that she had woken up to find Kevin dead. She further claimed that she had attempted to clean up the scene because she didn't want her 6-year-old daughter to see the body or step on any broken glass. Though Zerth was arrested shortly after this, she was eventually released due to insufficient evidence in the case. About a month later, she was charged in connection with a second violent incident after she allegedly tried to run her boyfriend over with a vehicle while under the influence. She pleaded guilty after her aggravated assault charges were reduced and ended up getting sentenced to probation. However, last week authorities released an update saying that they had rearrested Zerth in connection with her cousin's death after new information was uncovered. So far, police have not commented on what this new information is, though it apparently led to the 30-year-old being charged with second-degree intentional murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and tampering with evidence. Authorities now say that they believe Zerth murdered Kevin McKenna with a claw hammer during an argument, and that she subsequently tried to cover up the crime. At the time of this recording, she remains in custody.
In other kidnapping hoax-related news, authorities in Alabama say that a young nursing student is facing charges this week after police say she admitted she fabricated claims that led to a frantic search for her and a fictional toddler earlier this month. According to reports, the whole thing started at 9:34 p.m. on July 13th when police in the city of Hoover received a disturbing 911 call from 25-year-old Carly Russell. Russell told dispatchers that she was driving along Interstate 459 near Birmingham when she witnessed a young child in diapers walking along the southbound side of the highway. After making her concerning report, Russell called a family friend repeating her claims. However, it was at this point that things took an even more disturbing turn. Midway through the call, the 25-year-old abruptly screamed, then appeared to drop her phone. When officers arrived at the scene, they found Russell's vehicle still running at the side of the highway, along with several personal items, including her phone and purse. There was no sign of her or the child she mentioned during her calls anywhere. Understandably worried that Russell had been kidnapped, police began investigating the situation immediately. A large group of volunteers organized a search effort, and word began to spread through the media and online in the hopes that leads could be generated quickly. Almost exactly 2 days later, at 10:45 p.m. on July 15th, police received word that Russell had returned to the home where she lived with her parents. She was taken to a local hospital for evaluation, after which she told police a harrowing story. Russell claimed that upon pulling over to check on the toddler she had seen 2 nights earlier, she had been approached by a man with orange hair who had come out from the trees. The man had then told her to go over a fence where he had forced her into a vehicle. She said that the last thing she remembered was being pushed into the trailer of an 18-wheeler. The 25-year-old said that she had been brought to a motel at some point where she had been forced to get undressed and photos of her were taken. She had managed to escape after being put into a different vehicle the following day. However, as police looked into Russell's story, they were apparently unable to verify any of it. Not only that, but there were details that didn't seem to make sense, such as the fact that she was blindfolded but said she wasn't tied up because her captor didn't want to leave impressions on her wrists. Eventually, investigators say, the whole story fell apart. That's when the 25-year-old allegedly admitted that she had made the whole thing up. There was no toddler on the side of the highway, and she had never been kidnapped. While police say that they are still trying to figure out exactly what Russell was doing during the 49 hours that she was missing, an investigation into her online search history in the lead up to the incident reportedly revealed more about her mental state. She had apparently looked up phrases such as, quote, "Do you have to pay for an Amber Alert or search? How to take money from a register without being caught? And one-way bus ticket from Birmingham to Nashville." She had also searched for the 2008 Liam Neeson film, Taken. This week, authorities announced that Russell has been charged with false reporting of an incident and false reporting to law enforcement, both of which are misdemeanors.
Authorities in Bay County, Florida say that a pair of young women are facing charges this week following a recent incident in which they got into a vicious fight at a 4th of July party, one that ended with a gruesome and rather unusual injury. The situation unfolded just after midnight on July 5th, when police in the city of Callaway received a call about an unsupervised house party being thrown by minors on the 6500 block of Aloki Street. Initially, officers had been informed that there was a fight between several men at the residence. However, when they arrived, they also found themselves in the middle of a violent incident between two women. According to reports, the whole thing began when 23-year-old Macy Regan left the house where the party was happening and began walking back to her own home close by. That's when she was allegedly confronted by 18-year-old Dixie Stiles, who accused her of stealing alcohol and vape pens. Things apparently escalated when Regan pulled out a handgun, prompting Stiles to knock the firearm away and attack. During the middle of the fight, Regan reportedly bit the top of one of Stiles' ears off. Both women were arrested at the scene, and Stiles was reportedly given more bad news later on when she was informed that the missing part of her ear could not be reattached. She has now been charged with battery, touch or strike, while Regan was charged with felony battery causing bodily harm.
Authorities in Erie County, Ohio say that a bumbling would-be burglar was left pretty embarrassed this week after his plan to rob a bank went sideways, leaving him not only empty-handed, but also comically trapped in front of police. According to reports, it all started at around 2 a.m. on July 26th, when officers from the Huron Police Department received a notification that an alarm had been triggered at the local Vacation Land Federal Credit Union. When they arrived, strange noises immediately caught their attention, which they realized were coming from an access door above the bank's drive-thru. Officers watched for a few seconds as the door opened, revealing a masked man who had obviously broken in. Without checking to see if anyone was there, the man dropped a bag he was carrying to the ground before starting to lower himself from the access door. It was at this point that police announced themselves. Evidently startled that he had been caught, the man fell from the access door right into a large wheeled recycling bin below the door. Realizing that he was now trapped and seemingly resigned to his fate, he could be heard on body camera footage saying, "Ah, f**k," before surrendering without any kind of struggle. Things got even more embarrassing for the suspect when, while being placed under arrest, the bin he was in gave out for a second time, causing him to fall towards the ground. After being taken into custody, the man was identified as 27-year-old Tristan Heidi. Heidi reportedly continued to cooperate with police, admitting that he had been trying to rob the bank and saying that he had done it because he was broke. Heidi also reportedly revealed that his robbery plans had been a bust even before police had arrived. At the time he was caught, he had actually been leaving the building empty-handed after failing to secure any cash. Funnily enough, the only thing that he had successfully stolen was the recycling bin that he had fallen into, which he had initially used to climb up to the access door. Heidi is now facing charges of breaking and entering, possession of criminal tools, and safecracking.
Authorities in Forest County, Mississippi say that an elderly widow is facing first-degree murder charges this week after police say they were finally able to prove that she was responsible for killing her husband more than 5 years ago. According to reports, the case began back in April of 2018 when officers were called to a residence in the community of Dixie just outside the city of Hattiesburg. It was here that they found the body of George Howe, who had died from a single gunshot wound to the head. While George's wife, Harriet Howe, led police to believe that the fatal gunshot was self-inflicted, those in charge of the investigation had their doubts. Unfortunately, though, the case remained unsolved due to lack of proof. That apparently changed recently when Forest County detectives joined a task force that was able to help them with a key piece of evidence. While the exact nature of this evidence has not been revealed, we do know that it concerns a digital device that police had previously been unable to get into. With the help of the task force, detectives were able to download the information contained on the device, which allegedly proved that Harriet was responsible for her husband's murder. The now 75-year-old was arrested this week and has been charged with first-degree murder. So far, no information about a possible motive has been released.
Authorities in San Mateo County, California say that a 39-year-old man is facing murder charges this week following a disturbing incident in which he allegedly filmed himself killing a woman and then posted the footage to social media. According to reports, the incident began late in the afternoon on July 26th when authorities were tipped off about the crime by a concerned resident in Nye County, Nevada. The resident said that he had been on Facebook when he saw a bone-chilling video that had been posted to the account of a man he knew. The man's name was Mark Mechikoff, and it looked like he might have been involved in a murder. More specifically, the witness told police that in the footage, Mechikoff was brutally stabbing a female victim. As he did so, he allegedly stood over her, apparently muttering Bible verses and some other incoherent nonsense. Using a phone number attached to the Facebook account, police were able to narrow the location of the crime scene to a large apartment complex in San Mateo's Hillsdale neighborhood. However, from here, officers were forced to go door to door trying to find the specific unit where the attack had taken place. They were successful after roughly 3 hours, though sadly, by this time the victim was dead. She has since been identified as 41-year-old Clarabelle Marie Estrella. Not long after, police managed to locate Mechikoff about 30 miles away in San Jose, and he was placed under arrest. He has now been charged with murder, with enhancements added for inflicting great bodily injury and the use of a knife. Investigators have since announced that Mechikoff knew the victim, but the nature of their relationship has not been revealed at the time of this recording. Before we wrap up, we'd like to take a second to give a huge shout out to everyone who has made it this far into the video. Seriously, thank you so much for watching. If you found today's upload interesting and informative, we'd be honored if you'd consider liking and subscribing, as well as hitting the notification bell and selecting all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to help support the channel, we'd love to have you join us over on Patreon. Patrons get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. You can learn more at patreon.com/crimezone, where you'll also find some of the fine folks whose names are currently on screen. All that being said, we understand that not everyone has the means to support financially, and that's totally okay. We appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much everyone, and take care.